As a crypto miner, one of the bigger challenges we run into is being limited to crypto exchanges, services, platforms, and websites based off our country or location. But what if there was a solution in the form of a new Depin miner that would help us overcome these obstacles? Let me introduce you to the Anyone Relay Miner. Traditional VPNs are great, but let's be honest, are built on technology over a decade old, where many platforms have banned or found workarounds to address them. The Anyone network utilizes relay miners just like this, using encrypted onion routing with multiple nodes and hops, with the ability to select your desired exit relay by region. Let's take a closer look at the Anyone Relay Miner. All right, let's take a closer look at the Anyone Relay Miner. Huge shout out to the team over at Helium Deploy for sending this over to us. I will put a link directly down below if you guys want to read more and possibly pick one up. So looking at this box, this is, yes, the box. It looks like it would actually be the miner itself. So kudos to the Anyone team for putting quite the effort into this. I love it. I love the appearance. So let's go ahead and lift up this little lever. Relay up, check that out. And looking inside, man oh man, we have the miner here. Up top we got some instructions and details, building the world's largest autonomous routing ecosystem and providing the internet privacy in the home. Welcome to your relay. That's pretty slick. There's also a QR code right up here that we'll scan to do our setup. Most likely we'll do that off camera just from some of the perspectives of privacy. But we will dive into it here some more. I'll definitely let you know how that goes. We have a QR code that we will scan with our cell phone to get things set up, as well as a sticker. Now here is the miner, and I'm really surprised. It's much smaller than I expected. So nice little sticker on this side. When we flip it on this side, we have a little cutout here with some air cooling and vents with an antenna. When we flip it around some more, we have a variety of ports here, and we will be powering it via USB Type-C with some set screws to open this up. On this side here, we have an Ethernet port that we're going to go ahead and plug into our home router, firewall, or modem, as well as we do have this little blue button, which is used for the setup process. We'll go through that here in a minute. Another cutout here for airflow, a TP-Link little dongle here on the side. Very curious on what the purpose of that is for. We'll have to take a look at the setup guide some more. On the bottom of this unit here, you can see we have a QR code that we will scan for setup, as well as some mounting holes, which I think is great. But other than that, there is not much to this miner, which has made it really, really easy. Let me go ahead and get this set up and then report back to you guys as to how it worked out. All right, so it's been a few minutes, but we are up and set up with our Anyone Relay Miner. Let me run you through the setup process, some of the things I ran into, and then we'll take a closer look at how it's doing. So if you go over to anyone.io, I give kudos to their team. They've actually done a really good job of giving you documentation on how to set this up. So when you do scan the QR code, it actually takes you over to their documentation section, which is very friendly and very easy to use. And they actually have a section for hardware setup. And that's actually where we started out here. So to actually set this unit up, you actually start with your cell phone and you go ahead and plug the device in, you hold down the blue button, it gives you an ad hoc wireless network to connect to, which is kind of what you see here with these lights. I actually ran into a wonky issue where my power adapter, I had a separate one, not the one it came with, was not sufficient enough. It actually blinked red, which let me know that like, hey, I needed to swap it out. So I swapped it out. And once I held down that blue button, I was able to pair it up and I was able to go ahead and connect to that ad hoc wireless connection. Once connected to that, you could go to the IP address here that it gives you, which is 10.42.0.1, and bam, you're on a friendly setup page. And it just walks you through it, which is really, really nice, setting it up. You can have it connect just directly to your home network with Wi-Fi, or you can do Ethernet. I elected to do Ethernet. So one thing I ran into that I wanted to share with you guys was when you get down to the point where you put in your wallet address for anyone, I ran into a challenge because I tried to at first, when you go over and take a look at it. Well, first off, on the Anyone protocol, I didn't actually realize when I came across here on coincarp.com that this project was originally the Tor protocol. and then it was rebranded to Anyone. I didn't know that. So something new and different. Maybe some of you guys that have been around for a while recognize that. So I started with MetaMask because I thought that would be easy, and it absolutely was not. So then I decided to go ahead, and when I was looking at MetaMask, it wasn't something that was built in. It was set up on the Sepolia network, which is on Ethereum, and it just I couldn't get it working properly. So finally went back to the drawing board, saw that Trust Wallet was on here, and I do have this on my phone. So I went ahead and set this up. It was already right in Trust Wallet, made it really, really easy. Copied the Ethereum address in there, and then went back to the entire setup process. I would say if I had the wallet set up ahead of time, this whole thing would have taken me 5 minutes. But it took me a good 30 minutes just of trying to mess with MetaMask. Once that's completed though, and once you get on the other side of things, I was ready to go. And I had it up and good to go, and there wasn't much to it. So if you jump over and take a look, I am now on the local IP address because it's on my network now. And here is the Anyone dashboard for that device. And I love the fact, first off, that there's a reveal button on the far right. So I can show you guys and talk to you guys about this without being concerned of compromising any private data. So kudos to the Anyone team for setting this up. But one thing I want to point out to you guys, if you look under, there's a section called reachability, and it says reachable flags none. Well, that's because you actually have to set up port forwarding, and don't get too scared. It uses one port, 9001, and I have it directly going down to this device. You could also put it in a DMZ if you wanted to as well. But I set this up, made it really, really easy. If you guys are like, how do I do port forwarding? Look up your make and model of your home firewall or router, and you can look up port forwarding. It's very simple and easy to do after you give the device a static IP address. So let's see how it's doing. All right, so we're up and running. You can see the indicator light that we talked about in the guide is actually blinking like this cyan teal color, which is great. That's what it's exactly supposed to do in this situation, which I gotta love it. Now, here is the USB Type-C cable, and it runs into this power brick. The power brick doesn't come with it. I wish it would, because the one that I used actually was causing this to blink red, which kind of set me back quite a few minutes, but figured it out pretty quickly. Now, watts at the wall, if you're interested. Look at that. Only 5 watts total, 5.5 watts total, which is great. I gotta love Depin. Just not even being concerned about electric rate. Oh, it's so, so nice. So we do have Ethernet gone ahead and wires right back into our switch, which then will go back to our home firewall, which works out really, really well. All right, so let's jump over to the computer. Let's learn a little bit more about the Anyone project, but more importantly, how much does this make? All right, so let's take a closer look at the Anyone project. So overall, anyone can actually use this network, which is really funny with the name. So you don't even have to actually have one of these devices to utilize the network if you want to. So over on their site, as I said, go check it out. A lot of really good documentation. Under it, though, there is a section for connect to anyone. And so you can actually like connect with your Mac or Windows or Linux, and you can actually go ahead and their documentation walks you through how to do this. But you go ahead and actually install a piece of software that allows your home computer then to actually utilize the Anyone network, which is pretty slick. You can turn it off and on whenever you want to use it based off of what you're doing. But that's kind of a big upsell to me, especially for us crypto miners wanting to use other services that are out in other regions or locations, as we talked about at the top of this video, exchanges or websites or platforms. So I'll leave a link directly down below to that. The other avenue is actually connecting through your hardware, which is the Anyone relay miner I have back here. So on my unit, there's actually a option to enable the wireless to be available for anyone to connect to and actually utilize the network, or I can use it on my home network and integrate it as well. So on their actual dashboard of your relay, mine are all off right now, but you have all these different options that you can turn on. You can turn on the feature for the Ethernet proxy, so like my whole network would utilize it, the Wi-Fi proxy, so that it will get off that kind of hotspot, and same thing with the hotspot proxy, as I mentioned there. So all of these are available that you can enable to actually run the entire network if you want to, and actually benefit from it to connect to it and utilize that really high-tech routing that we talked about. Now, Looking from there, let's talk about what this unit makes, because at the end of the day, Depin projects are a lot of fun, but this Depin project actually is in mainnet right now. Well, I guess it's in testnet, will be in mainnet in Q2, which is like the next few weeks, but you are actively earning live tokens, which is great. So they have a really good breakdown here on their site for the rewards. I'm not going to go through every nitty gritty thing, but I will go through what you earn per day. So for participating in the network, you earn 3.2 anyone token per day. And you might be like, okay, great. Well, what's that worth? Well, if we go over to CoinMarketCap and take a closer look at this, right now the anyone token is worth 34 cents. Let's zoom out here and look at the year. And you can see there were opportunities where this one was, upwards of $2.20, which is fantastic. Looking at it all-time high, it was $2.29, all-time low 23 cents. So we're actually up over 11 cents currently as of March 19th. Now, 3.2 of the token, quick math if you guys are interested, we'll come over here. 3.2 is just over $1.10 per day, which is great. It uses 5 watts, which is absolutely nuts. And I truly do believe that Depin is kind of the future for home mining, especially with something exactly like this. Now, if we scroll down, we can see all different exchanges that this is on: MEXC, KuCoin, XT, BitGet, CoinX, BVox, Uniswap. You can take a look at all this information. I'll link it down below if you guys are interested. So finally, where in the world do you buy one of these things? Well, I've been working with Helium Deploy for quite a while now. A lot of Depin projects that I purchased from them. Believe it or not, if you go over to their hardware section, they are starting to carry ASIC miners, which I think is great, especially home ASIC miners pairing with a lot of these Depin projects. A lot of my Depin devices are directly from Helium Deploy, so go over and check them out if you're interested. But for the anyone relay miner, you can pick this up over on Helium Deploy for $400. And you can see that they start to ship on April 7th, which is just around the corner, which I'm really excited for you guys. So the anyone relay miner, this thing is so cool. I'm going to go ahead and get this installed directly next to my home firewall. Absolutely makes sense. No need to keep it right here. And I'm going to set it, forget it, and start stacking more of that anyone token. Guys, links down below to everything we talked about today. I'll see you guys next time.